Good morning, nation. Good morning, business athlete nation. It's the morning show. Mornings in the lab. Myself, I'm Keith Bilous. That guy over there, that's CmartyFit. Oh, and the guy over there, that's Jon Andersen. He's just hanging out in the mountains. The mountain man himself, Jon Andersen. And the other person on the other side of the window, that's Christina Flynn. She joined the team yesterday. She's hanging out, doing a little bit of production work with us here in the lab. Looking forward to that. And of course, the other guy on the side of the mirror, that's producer Jimmy. We got a full show here with you guys here. Coming to you today in the lab. And of course, we have a special guest today, Ari Meisel, the Overwhelmologist. Hey, listen, yesterday we dug into excitement and anxiety as I started the week wrestling with those two emotions. And today, nation, if you wake up feeling a little bit overwhelmed, we have an expert to have that conversation with you here today. Ari Meisel, the self-described overwhelmologist. I got to admit, I said this to Marty yesterday, that between Jon's habit stacking principles and Ari Meisel's overwhelming principles, I suspect we're going to have an excellent show today. Of course, we have the regular bits, the accountability check-in coming in at the 15-minute mark of the hour. Bottom of the hour, Marty's fitness tips. And typically we would have Jon's lifestyle tips around the 45-minute mark, but I think we have a little bit of a distinct internet connection. So we're going to leave that off the table here today. And of course, the creator spotlight coming up at around the 55-minute mark. And then we're going to end the show continuing our discussion, boys, with Arnold's 77 lifestyle tips, helping us live a better life. Christopher Martin, aka CmartyFit. How are you, my brother?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Oh! What makes you amazing?
I woke up.
Oh!
There we go.
Johnny, at this point, he's sounding like my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, how you doing today? Well, Keith, I'm another day on this side of the earth, so I'm doing pretty good. Dad's 82, Johnny, and Dad's just hiking up. Dad's curling, John. Dad's still getting down in the hack. I don't know if you guys know what curling is, but that's with the winter sport up here in Canada. You get on the ice, you throw rocks on, yeah. So Johnny, Marty, I can tell you. My future, old Pops is hanging out at 82 doing his thing. So his comment, Marty, is very similar to yours. Well, I'm alive today. So I'm like, oh, okay. So
can't complain about too much.
I am really curious, Marty. I got to look to the guy sitting on top of us right now, Andersen. I'm really curious how that day went yesterday, Johnny. How was the day at the lake? I know we're on a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to ask the question. We're going to hang for the response. How was the day at the lake yesterday? What did you do for your lift? What did you do to take care of yourself? Tell us what the mountain man, Jon Andersen, did yesterday.
Well, it was our first day here. And what I always do is I make sure that my first day here is off, meaning I need the day off from training so I can get settled in and all that kind of good stuff. So I went for we live on a pretty steep hill down to the lake. So I walked up and down the hill a little bit to get some exercise in. The morning thing got settled in. The big thing was we got a bear running around here. And so we had to kind of get so this bear, literally has been popping up all over the place. So, I slept in the main cabin to make sure the bear didn't break in and eat all of our food because he's been popping other cabins on the hillside. So it's been kind of exciting. And Terry, before I go to bed, she comes and says, listen, if the bear comes in the cabin, you are not allowed to do anything other than yell at. I was like, what do you think I'm going to do? Get up and have a fist fight with a bear? Come on.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So basically,
squat bears. You used to squat bears.
We're on heightened. We're on heightened bear loot. You know what? Check this out, guys. I think our delay might be gone because Keith, you laughed right when I made that joke. This is a beautiful day. Yeah.
Well, so, Marty, I'm thinking we might have to send a webcam to Andersen there and set it up in the cabin. So when the bear does enter, you and I have proof, Marty, that Johnny's actually fighting the bear, so that we can show Terry, his wife, that no, he doesn't listen very well. And
that
Johnny,
would be so funny, man.
That could be a new sport, eh? Hey, retired strongmen, Marty, and retired wrestlers and retired bodybuilders, we can get them fighting bears.
That might not be a good idea because when I went to
I'll tell you, bears.
When I went to the zoo in Dubai,
bears are strong, man. I'll tell you,
they are. So when I went to the zoo in Dubai, I asked, what's the most dangerous animal in here? And mind you, there's lions, tigers, jaguars,
Yeah.
snakes. They said the bear is the most dangerous here. So yeah.
You got nowhere to go because he can run faster than you. He can climb a tree faster than you, and he can swim faster. Where in the hell are you going to go? Nowhere to go.
Yep. Isn't that true? When you really break it down like that, the bear is perhaps one of the ultimate apex predators out there, isn't it? And of course, we have our good friend Good Time joining us here this morning. Yes. Good Time, you are here early today, man. I'm appreciative of that. 8:06 there Eastern time. I know you're in the States. I know you're not in Australia, Good Time. So thanks for joining us. Hey, Good Time, I invite you to come follow me on LinkedIn. Come find Keith Bilous on LinkedIn. Come find Christopher Martin. John, we're going to get John settled up here on LinkedIn too over the next couple of weeks. But Good Time, come find us. We're really looking to establish some relationships with our listeners. So come find me out there, friend me. Unless you're not real, Marty, unless Good Time's not real.
It could be a bot.
Oh, did you say a bot or a butt?
Is Marty after the bots or is he after the people that sit behind the keyboard and do their thing?
That's it. So John, you just said something. I got to tell you, man. You said, "Oh, here we go. We got this guy here too." Of course, we got this guy here. Oi, oi, oi! We got the future showing up.
What's up, baby?
What's going on, brother? Good to have you there. Hey, Enzo, I dropped some comments on LinkedIn yesterday. If you wanna give me some help, you'll see some comments over there for you. But I was gonna say, Marty, you said something, John, a few moments ago. I got to tell you, man, I'm destined to trying to learn something every single day these days as I age through life. And you said something which resonated for me, and I think it's going to resonate with our audience. When folks travel, when I travel, I stress myself out about my first day of getting in the gym when I'm traveling. And then you know what, John? It never works because I'm not settled. My routine's not in. It's just a whole crappy experience. And then what happens is the rest of the trip, I'm really kind of defeated about training or going to the gym or doing something. But you said, you're like, no, when I arrive at this new destination, I take a day to establish some brand new routines, is what I'm hearing you say, so that tomorrow, being today, you can now live those new routines based on your habit stacking. Am I correct, Jon Andersen?
100%. And the thing about that is a little bit of pre-planning goes a long way. One of the things that I love to live by is tomorrow's success is planned today. Don't wake up and expect you're going to figure this shit out. You got to do it yesterday. Yes.
So that's again simple tips, but I certainly took away from that because I know when I go somewhere, I'm like, okay, I got to get it in that same day because I can't wreck my streak, and then it sucks, and you're like, I'm kind of discouraged by the whole thing. So I like that idea of giving you grace, right, Marty? You got grace. Okay, you're landing here. We're gonna chill because we know tomorrow we're gonna get after it again. So. Listen, if you haven't subscribed to our show and you're tuning on one of our streams here, I invite you to subscribe to Mornings in the Lab on YouTube. Go find us on X, go find us on LinkedIn, but subscribe to Mornings in the Lab. Share it with your friends, comment, like it, and do all of that. But boys, why don't we bring in this human being on the other side of the glass over there? I think she has a sick kid at home. What's going on there, Christina? Producer Christina?
Oh, I got that sick kid at home, so we're just surviving. That's it.
Yeah. So listen, we got to call it out, man, because we all as parents have sick kids from time to time, and you wake up this morning, right, Christina? You go to bed yesterday, you got your day all planned, you're ready to rock and roll, and then perhaps throughout the evening, the sniffles arrive, or you get woken up in the middle of the night, and then today comes, and child is sick, and you're like, oh my God, every plan I had in place, now I have to frantically scramble to change those plans, right?
Oh yeah, it blows right up. And I think it speaks to the flexibility and the need to be flexible. There's like amazing parts about being an entrepreneur because I can actually be home with her. But then the frustrating part is like, all right, well, Keith, I'm going to be in the green room most of the time. I'm going to be from a different location. I got a sick kiddo beside me. But it's the ability to be here is more important than for this to look perfect right now.
But you know what? I wanted to bring it up on purpose, Tina. I did. Because I believe there are still too many employers, Marty, John, that don't subscribe to my thinking with this, which is, okay, you got a sick kid. Yeah, and? Well, but Keith, I can't do my job. No? How come? Well, because I got a sick kid. Well, okay. Well, is this sick kid going to be sick for the rest of its life? No. Okay. Well, then go take care of your child. If you take care of your child, that means you take care of yourself as a human being. And if you take care of yourself as a human being, eventually you're going to come back to work and take care of work. Like, it's such a, like, we get so caught up, Jon and Marty, with, oh my God, Christina's child's sick today. All the plans go out the window today. Oh my God, the world's falling. Not really. You know what I mean? So I just want to call that out because I think many employers get too caught up in, oh, is Christina working at home today because her child's at home and she can't get any work done? No, actually, I think she's an adult. I don't know. Tina?
It's the beauty of the remote working too, right? Like when you already have this established, there's no communication that needs to happen. We all work from home. We're all doing our thing. This is just what is. And when you and I first started talking about working together, it was like, yeah, my kids come number one. I got to switch on me and then my kids.
Yes.
But my kids come number one. And as long as I'm open and honest and real about it, just like everyone else in the world has shit going on pre-COVID.
Right.
Imagine you had like a dog bark in the background. Now it's like, yo, I got kids. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're going to get shit done. It might be at a different time in the evening, and that's cool.
Bingo. Results are all that matter, right, Anderson? Right, Marty? That's what matter here is just results. So, Travis R., is this real? Yes, it is real. We are live and real, and I'm not Ryan Seacrest. I'm a much more handsomer version of Ryan Seacrest, according to CmartyFit. Guys, I got to tell you, Marty's all the time like, Bilous, you're like Ryan Seacrest. I'm like, come on, Marty.
Nope.
Okay, apparently I'm not like Ryan Seacrest, according to CmartyFit.
Nope.
All right, 12 minutes into the hour. Hey, boys, have you heard of an overwhelmologist before? And Enzo, have you heard of an overwhelmologist before? Have you guys ever heard of that term? Jon, looking at you first. An overwhelmologist, Jon Andersen.
That sounds like something that lives in my mind, man. You know, you've got to constantly deal with being overwhelmed. And it sounds like, you know, now that we all deal with it, now there's somebody that's decided to take that title and help people sort their shit out is what I'm guessing it is.
That's it. Marty, overwhelmologist for you?
Nah, never heard of it.
Yeah. How about you, Christina?
It sounds like someone I need but have never heard of.
Yeah, so I met Ari like I met Johnny and Marty on Live in the Lab with Keith Bilous a few months back. And Ari had battled Crohn's disease in his life. And he recognized that in order for him to be productive and build a life of quality, he had to find a way to overcome these overwhelming feelings. So Jon, Marty, the guy works 20 hours a day. He's created this productivity system, less doing, more living. Jon, you're gonna love him, man. Like you're the habit stacker king. This guy's like, he takes 8 hours.
This is right up my. This sounds like this is all me. Like this is something I should be doing. I'm already doing it. I just don't have the title and get paid for it. For God's sake.
Believe me, Marty, we are channeling each other's inner thoughts right now, pal. I can tell. So Ari Meisel is joining us at the bottom of the hour from New York City. He's going to jump in and talk about how the systems he puts in place to help him feel less overwhelmed. That's what he does. He helps folks become less overwhelmed with different techniques and tactics. And that's what Ari Meisel is joining us from New York City today. Let's continue going on the table. How was your day? Johnny, your day was okay yesterday. Marty, how about your day yesterday, pal?
I had a very productive day yesterday.
Tell me about it.
I mean, I do the same thing every day. I'm like Jon Andersen. I do the same thing every day. I go to the gym, train my clients, baby. Client calls, meal prep, shoot my content, edit my content. That's it. That's all I did. It was nothing special.
That's awesome.
Did the morning show.
I love it.
Crack some jokes with you guys.
Yes. I got after legs day today. I got after legs day this morning, boys. Up and out of bed, got legs day crushed. And after I got a wonderful message from Tina this morning saying, hey, what's shaking? What's going on? I jumped onto the old biker, boys, and I did a 15-minute Tabata. Yeah. I went and got the old heart rate up there. And
Tabata's crazy.
Tabata is crazy, man. I needed a good finisher this morning. My mind was a little messed up, so I needed a good finisher, and I got it jacked up here at 6:45 before the show. And that just I find Tabata, because my program was to do a sled push, but I wasn't gonna go push the sled this morning out there in the garage, Marty. So I was like, I'll go do some Tabata. So that was and
push the sled tomorrow.
That's exactly it. And Jon, he didn't have any mountains to climb, so I just had to go do some Tabata. Speaking of pushing it tomorrow,
all you need is that blood flow. That physiology change is all you need. Pushing the sled, Tabata, burpees, it doesn't matter. 5 minutes busting your hump, boom, you're clear.
Yeah. You're bang on, man. You're bang on. I got to tell you guys something funny. And Jimmy, we're going to jump into the accountability check-in here in a moment. And then I'm going to jump into some conversation starters before we welcome Ari Meisel into the lab. But boys, Friday evening, I'm just I'm winding my day down. I got the old Hugh Hefner on, John, and I'm winding my day down. I'm in the sunroom there doing some work. It's 8:25 at night, Friday night, and the dogs go nuts. What the hell is going on here? All of a sudden, Carter drives in the yard. Marty, I'm like, what are you doing here, dude? He's like, I got a lift. I'm like, dude. He goes, yeah, I wasn't really feeling it today, but I figured I better get it done. 8:30 Friday night.
Really?
17-year-old Carter Bilous arrives at the house, crushes his legs day on a Friday night because he's like, I had to get it done. Yeah. And I'm like, holy smokes, man. Like so y'all wonder what gets me going? I was like, okay, I guess I got to get my ass out of bed tomorrow morning to go again because this boy's here right now. Like, talk about no excuses. Love it.
No, that's amazing, man. At 17, just to have that accountability, and he's recognizing what workouts can do, like for his mental. Yes, pretty impressive. Yeah, I wanted to share that, just a proud dad moment, but more importantly, gentlemen, a proud accountability moment. You know, I know we pride ourselves in holding ourselves and holding our listeners accountable. His accountability was just spot on there, and I was like, okay, I guess that it means that I can't take a day off because Carter is not taking days off. Not that maybe it's from that talk you had with him.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Lotus Flower popping in. Good to see you, Lotus Flower. Happy to have you.
Lotus.
Our bodies are made for movement and exercise. Total. You are bang on with that one. Absolutely. And Brian, amen to that, guys. Thanks for hopping in here. And yes, good time. Travis, it is real. And listen, Travis, I'm going to tell you something, man. You are at the beginning of a flight that is on its way to one of the biggest, best airplane flights ever. Trust me, we're just getting started. Myself, Jon Andersen, CmartyFit. This will be the biggest morning show on the planet. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to take a page from Andersen. If you don't understand what we're doing, we haven't set the bar high enough. It's a true story. If you do not understand what we are doing, you do not, we haven't set the bar high enough. So we actually welcome the fact that you understand what we're doing, sir. And I appreciate the shout out there, Lotus Flower. So Jimmy, let's give Johnny a chance to go do the restroom break and Marty give a chance to get a break. And I'm going to do this. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Okay. I got something for you guys right now. So most people, from my experience, are suffering from the condition. There's a condition they're suffering from, but they don't even know it. It's called busyness. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. I got to do this. I got to do that. Everything's urgent. We glorify the packed schedules. We glorify hustle culture. We equate being busy with productivity. We think doing more is actually achieving more, but we confuse movement with progress. And we know movement creates motivation. But in reality, business, the idea of being busy, it's a trap. Next time you hear your employer or your employee or your colleague say, I'm busy, challenge them. Because I suspect that busyness is stealing their focus. It's killing their creativity. It's draining energy, and it leaves people unfulfilled. Here's the truth. Productivity, it's that hyper focus. We leaned into it yesterday. We leaned into it yesterday in the Substack Creator Spotlight, where you might want to go away for a while. Be alone. Focus on the productivity. So next time, Business Athlete Nation, somebody asks you, how you doing? Don't say I'm busy. Because remember, it's not a badge of honor. If you're busy all the time, now is a good time to pause and reassess. And don't confuse that movement with progress. Prioritize impact over activity. Say no more often. And the next time somebody says to you, hey, Keith, yeah, how you doing? Oh, I'm not busy. Boom, I'm being productive. That is the accountability check-in today. What's one thing you can cut from your day today to make you feel less overwhelmed? That's our accountability check-in today. Mornings in the lab. Keith CmartyFit. Christina Flynn, producer Christina, joining us from Toronto, in and out of the screen today. That'll be the habit here, Nation. You'll just get used to Christina popping in and out. She might drop her a jib jab here and there. She'll leave. She'll come back. She'll get some jokes, come back some water, throw water at me and Johnny and Marty and leave again. And she's got all the power, guys. She's got the power. We're slowly giving her the keys to the show. Maybe, Tina. Well, she can't hear us. That's good. No, she's muted herself.
I was going to say my plan works, but it looks like my plan is flawed already. So
That's it. That's it. You're right, Enzo. 4 months with the boys in the lab. Good to have you here, pal. Really good to have you here in the lab. So, hey guys, I was looking at some topics yesterday. Oh, hey, here we go. So I want to get into the polls. I'm staying to script, Melissa. Staying to script, Tina, Jimmy. Coming back from our accountability check, and I want to lean into the polls. Johnny, we ran a poll yesterday. Looking at you, pal. What do you think humans' biggest productivity challenges? Beating procrastination, managing distractions, prioritizing tasks, or juggling multiple projects? That's today's poll. I'm gonna revisit yesterday's in a second. But what do you think people's biggest productivity challenges right now today? What do you think people are going to choose? We're going to talk about it tomorrow. But procrastination, distraction, tasks, or juggling multiple projects?
I'm going to say that, really distractions play right into procrastination. I think the distraction is the precursor to procrastination. So I'm going to go with distraction, but they kind of fit hand in hand.
I think so too. I think so too. And again, just to be clear, this is a poll we're running today. We'll revisit it tomorrow. But I think people's biggest productivity challenges myself is the other P, Johnny, which is procrastination. What about you, Marty? Where do you think people suffer with that?
Procrastination for sure. For sure. Not even close.
It's so easy to do something else, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying that for myself too. With procrastination, I'm big. I got to get better.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. Good for you.
But isn't that distraction though, fellas? You're going to do something else. That's distraction.
Ah, that's a good point, Johnny. That's a really.
I see distraction.
So, how do we want to look at it? You know, are we procrastinating like I'm going to wait here for 5 more minutes to do this, or is it I'm going to go do this I got distracted with?
Yeah.
Or it could be like what we talked about yesterday, like when I mentioned somebody wanting to do the website before they start their business. That could be a form of, just depends how you look at it.
I think it all fits in. It all fits in, right? Like for me, I've got ADHD 100%. And prioritization is always an issue for me, but that's going to lead to procrastination. That's going to lead to me finding distractions. Like it's all one and the same, but yes, I'm excited to see what the audience has to say.
Yeah, I think procrastination is that evil word that I think you can start a business around helping people beat procrastination. Today, yesterday's poll, guys, recapping yesterday's poll was, what's your biggest focus this week? And we threw on the table, which is, crushing work projects, building new habits, Johnny, networking like a pro, or self-care and recharging. And we clearly aren't doing a good job hammering the habits home yet because folks have decided they're not building new habits this week. Instead, everybody, they're crushing new projects. So while we are teaching Business Athlete Nation to go and crush goals, guys, we need to keep learning on teaching them how to do that by establishing and enabling new habits along the way. So
they want to crush goals with the old habits.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. That's exactly what it is, right? That's exactly what it is. I don't know how that works. So, but there's our polls there today, and that's out there on LinkedIn, threads all over the place. But hey, guys, got a couple conversation stars I thought I'd throw on the table here today before we welcome Ari Meisel into the lab. And I was doing a little bit of research yesterday. So we talk about AI here in the lab often, right? We're always talking AI. We got some AI experts in here, and AI is weaving itself through the world. Guys, what do you think? What do you think is, where's my note here? What do you think that people are using? Where is my, oh man, why can't I find this? Oh, here we go. New report shows the truth of how people are actually using AI chatbots. And how do you guys think that people are actually using them? It might surprise you, actually.
Essays.
That's a hell of a question.
Yeah.
Captions. For me, the first thing I think of is essays and captions.
Okay.
And then maybe just like stuff that you will Google, like certain facts or information, statistics.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny? What do you think most people are using chatbots for today?
Ultimately, I'm just kind of getting introduced to this AI. I'm still looking for my fax machine, but I'm bringing in the AI. So I don't know. I think that generally speaking, people would use a tool like this because they're trying to find, I don't want to call it a shortcut, but a more efficient way to get things done. Things are going to be really, really connected to what a person does and who they are.
21% of people, when they use chatbots, are using it for creative writing and role play. Yeah.
Role play. And, there was a report last week. And as we all know, we're going to be introducing our own AI generated bot to the show here in a couple weeks when OpenAI launches voice mode on ChatGPT here. So the vision Keith Marty have is we're going to have the AI bot part of the show. We'll have another, an AI interacting with us. But what I found is that so OpenAI announced last week, guys, that what they're learning with voice mode is that humans are finding themselves becoming quite connected to the voice within the bot. And if you look at this, 21% of people are using AI bots for role playing. There's a legitimate concern, guys, that humans are going to find themselves emotionally connected to these machines. Johnny? Yeah, this is perfect. So people in general have lost the art of communicating with other real people. So now they're taking the technology that took that ability away, and they're trying to role play with that technology to learn how to reconnect with the people that the technology actually disconnected them from. Quite a loop! Oh my God, this is crazy,
Marty.
Not role play. Well, you gotta learn how to talk to a real person through a machine. Oh my God,
Marty.
No, I think that's ridiculous. It is. It's crazy. Like, people are so socially awkward. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to express themselves. It's only going to get worse. Like, there's so many weirdos out here. Like, adults. Like, bro, you're 35. Like, learn how to communicate.
I love it. Tina, what's your on this situation?
Listen, we've seen the movie Her, right? With Joaquin Phoenix. We are there. That is happening. People are dating their AI. And listen, do you? But I think this needs to be a supplement. I will role play with AI if I've got a difficult conversation coming up and I don't really know how to do it. I don't really know how to pose. I don't really know how to, determine what I'm going to say back to them. That's the way you use it. And then you help it to teach you, go have that conversation. But you need to go have that conversation.
Yes, exactly. Christina talking about role playing, and Adam, you're curious about role playing? Like, go ahead, Marty. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, they got AI girlfriends, right?
Well, I'm glad you said that, Marty, because they
got AI girlfriends for lonely men.
One of our highest viewed boys. What the hell
is going on here?
One of our highest viewed shows was when we had Vincent Valentine on the show a few months back, Marty, before your time here, as I was starting this thing out. He's got a company who creates AI girlfriends, and I'm trying to get Vincent back on the show as much for Jon Andersen's sake, so that we can get Jon rapping.
Oh my Lord,
Marty, we might have to have a bit here on the show where it's like introducing Jon to the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we could actually. Yeah, we can put future objects in future. Yes, Jon.
We've got this whole generation. You got this whole generation of kids, teenagers, and even some young adults. And you give them a damn Xbox or whatever these games are called, these video games, a box of cereal and a couch, and they're not going anywhere. They'll stay there for days. How in the hell did life get turned into this?
Oh man, we got Ari Meisel in the green room coming up here in about 3 minutes. Ari, just a heads up, we're gonna get to the CmartyFit tip and then welcome Ari. And Ari's sitting back there going, "What the hell have I got myself into here?" He's like, "What?" He was on Bilous' show a few months back. He's like, "Okay, I see this one-on-one thing, but now I got some guy battling bears up in the mountains of Utah. I got some dude sitting in Maryland talking about AI girlfriends, and he's got this guy in the middle here, Bilous, talking about all this other stuff." But Adam, you're talking about role playing. Dungeons and Dragons or some dumb weird stuff. No, the idea is that before you're going into a meeting, maybe you're getting the AI to interview you. Maybe you're getting the AI to ask you questions about prepping for something you got coming up. So there's certainly good reasons to use AI to role play a different situation, right? So maybe I'm going into a meeting with Jon Andersen.
That's a better role play. That's a better role play. That's a better role play, bro. That makes me feel a little better.
I think so. I know that we're gonna have to have some fun with AI and all these different technologies in the future, especially with John here. Good time. Yeah, your 11-year-old son uses it. My kids use it, but I'll tell you right now, Marty, my kids aren't using AI as much as I am as an older human. I'm finding kids are like, nah, I don't want to use it. They're not, it's kind of like whatever, right? In good times, like it's over my head, but he's coding games and building things that'll help him troubleshoot. You're absolutely right. And Uday, go live with Putin. All right, bring him to the table and we'll bring Putin to the table. We'll bring Kim Jong-un to the table. Maybe we can have an interesting conversation, Marty, like Elon and Trump had yesterday on Spaces. Did you catch that at all? That was funny, man.
I'm aware of it, but I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I know we're not here to kind of, we got to have some fun with current events in life, man. So I knew it was on yesterday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Well, 42 minutes I tuned in. It still weren't live. I guess there was a big technology situation, but it was very much a puff conversation of just a couple boys standing around blowing smoke up each other's ass. Nope.
I'm sure it was a great convo.
Yeah, it was. There's nothing new and enlightening. It's just a platform of diatribes and interesting points along the way here.
Yep.
So. All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. We are going to pivot, Jimmy, to Marty's fit tip, and then John, I know you're excited about this, man. We have the ultimate overwhelmologist sitting in the green room. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to go to Marty's fit tip, and we're going to bring back Ari, John, myself, and we're going to get into how to make yourself less overwhelmed with Ari Meisel. So let's go and do. There we go. That's it. There's the boy.
Let's go. Get off the screen, Keith. All right. We got the fitness tip for today. Let's get into it. The most effective exercise when you have 30 minutes or less to exercise. Finding time to work out can be tough, especially with the packed schedule. But you don't need hours in the gym to see results. These 3 exercises can give you a decent workout when time is limited. Squats. We talk about squats a lot on here. This powerhouse move targets your legs, glutes, and core. If you've got access to weights, throw them in for an extra burn. No weights, no problem. Just focus on form and depth. Push-ups. These are not just for your chest. They also work your shoulders, triceps, and core. Mix in variations like this. Wide grip, diamond push-ups. Just to switch things up and keep it interesting. Plank. You can end your session by holding a plank. It's simple, but incredibly effective for building core strength and stability. Try to hold for a minute and increase the time as you get stronger. Walk as much as possible during your day, whether it's taking the stairs, parking further away, or walking around during a break. Every step adds up. It's an easy way to stay active and boost your overall fitness. If you don't have to take the elevator or the escalator, don't take it. With these exercises, you'll hit all major muscle groups and keep your metabolism revved up, even with a tight schedule. No excuses, just 30 minutes or less to be a stronger version of you. That's the fitness tip for today.
Single at the bottom of the hour with Christopher Martin, aka CmartyFit, former D1 athlete, personal trainer, runs one of the greatest fitness podcasts every night here on YouTube. Not every night, every few nights on YouTube. A lot of fun with CmartyFit. But Marty, you mentioned about taking the stairs. Marty, you mentioned taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator. I got a good friend who's who runs an elevator company here in Winnipeg, and he says to me, he's like, Bilous. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I heard this show with you and that Christopher Martin guy. I go, yeah. He's like, and you guys are telling us not to use the elevator. I'm like, yeah. He's like, come on, man. You got to get people using my products. Hey, Caroline, you got to tune into the show, and we got to get people using the stairs, or else Keith and Marty don't have jobs. So that's the whole thing. That's how it works here. So, all right, we're going to pivot the show here where'd my music go? We're going to pivot the show to our friend, a self-described overwhelmologist. He's a productivity expert, known for creating the less doing, more living system. He's transformed his battle with Crohn's disease into a journey of personal and professional efficiency. John, Marty, he's authored several books. So listen, is he a best-selling author though? We'll have to ask that question, boys. He's authored.
Great question.
Everyone is a best-seller. Are you kidding me? Who is not a bestseller?
Is he a TEDx speaker too?
Yes.
Sorry, Ari. He's authored several books on productivity, efficiency, and stress management. The dude spends 20 minutes a day on his business. So Business Athlete Nation, if you're looking for the ultimate conversation coming up on how to be damn productive, you want to hang around. You want to hang around for Ari Meisel. Where's my little window there? Ari Meisel. Oh, no. Ari Meisel. There he is. Yes. How are you, brother? Good to have you on the show, man. It's been a while since I've seen you.
All right, what's up, brother?
Hello, guys. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah. So how was your routine this morning? I know you had the morning routine with the kids and everything, and you rushed back to that New York City pad to get on our morning show today. How was your routine this morning, man? Have you done any work yet today, Ari?
What routine? There's no routine in the morning. I have 5 kids. There's no routine in the morning.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Routine is just like organized chaos.
Yes.
But you know what? Even without a morning routine, get through the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ari joins us from New York City here. Like I said, he's been on the show a couple times with myself on Live in the Lab. Solid human being. Thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Ari. Let's get into a little bit of Ari's, early. Ari's was for 30 minutes here today, so he's here up until the top of the hour here. So, Ari, you had some early career struggles we talked about on our show, but what really drove you into this idea of becoming an overwhelmologist or a productivity expert, Ari, was you recognizing and learning years back about your battle with Crohn's disease. And maybe you can share a couple minutes with our audience, that moment in your life you're like, holy smokes, I have this illness. I now have to still be a productive father, have a productive life. I need to learn ways to be productive and manage these overwhelming feelings. Can we lean into this, Ari?
Yeah, sure. The really, really quick version of that is that basically I went from working 18 hours a day to working an hour a day. Because of the disease, so I was too tired. I didn't have any energy, focus, any of that stuff. Be able to get stuff done. So a lot of the productivity systems I'd say the majority of the productivity systems out there are really like how to get the most out of your day. But there really wasn't a lot focused on like, what if you only have an hour?
Yeah.
And because the question at that point really isn't what would you do, it's what wouldn't you do if you only have an hour? And if those things that you wouldn't do still have to get done, then who or what is going to do them for you? So that's where the whole system was sort of born from, the idea of optimizing, then automating, then outsourcing, and overcame the illness, even though it is technically considered an incurable illness, and went on to do all sorts of productivity stuff over the last 6 years. And then I ended up on this show.
There you go. Exactly. So, recognizing and addressing these feelings of overwhelm, Business Athlete Nation, these signs of feeling overwhelmed, fatigue, stress, feeling out of control, recognizing it early, prioritizing, setting boundaries, delegating those responsibilities. John, when you hear Ari lean into this, and I know, and Ari, John is a massive of habit stacking. He's built it in his career, and his life is about multiple sets of habits. John, when you hear Ari talk about, I only got an hour a day to work, what do you hear when you hear him say that, Andersen?
I think that he's got to be extraordinarily efficient in that short period of time, and obviously pre-planning and organization and having a really, really high level of focus has got to be played into this 1 hour to get everything done he needs.
So Ari, after you recognized that your lifestyle was unsustainable, what were those initial steps that you made yourself to regain control of your life and of how you had to kind of keep moving forward?
So a lot of it really starts with tracking and identification. I mean, they're actually tracking cases, but the truth is that a lot of people are overwhelmed, and a lot of people who are overwhelmed don't actually know what's causing the overwhelm.
Yes.
Which is because human beings are just really good at like digging faster, right? Like, but the idea of like stopping and sort of trying to figure out what's going on takes a little bit more strategic thinking sometimes. So identifying like really what's happening, and some of that sounds really basic, like how am I actually spending my time? How much time am I really spending on email? And a lot of people would say that email is like the most stressful thing in their day, but a lot of it's just they're not doing it very efficiently. The other thing is that Parkinson's law, one of the really old productivity things, says that work expands to fill the time allowed to complete it. So most people do something that takes them an hour and a half. If you gave them an hour, they'd probably still get it done. That's why like I don't do hour meetings ever.
Yes.
So there's never a reason for an hour meeting. Sorry, at least not in my life. So that's one thing. And then another thing is that what I recognized was embracing the restrictions was actually really the breeding of innovation. So I always love to give you guys look like you're all roughly around my generation. So
yes,
I hate when I have to explain this. MacGyver. Anyone ever like MacGyver?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes.
So nobody ever said to MacGyver, hey man, here's a shopping cart, there's a Home Depot, go get anything you need, and we need to blow up that building, right? It was always like, here's a box of Bisquick and 3 paper clips, and you need to get out of this like high security facility. So to me, like restrictions breed innovation, right? So if I say I only have an hour, I'm going to figure out how to get things done and things that I can't get done, put systems, right? And then just like, so I don't have a computer. This is my wife's computer, and my son has a gaming desk upstairs. I don't have my own computer. I do everything from my phone. Or I can do everything from my phone, which means that if I have 10 minutes between, dropping off a kid and like waiting for a meeting or something, I can get things done very productively. So restrictions are actually a good thing.
That's one thing I learned from you, Ari, when I met with you a couple months back, and I was so intrigued, and to the point where I ran the show twice, guys, was that Ari is a master of saying no. And I mean it as a compliment, Ari, because you're like, no, it has to hit my goals or else I'm going to say no first. And I admire that about you, man, because most human beings I meet always say yes. Talk about the power of no, Ari Meisel.
So I want to be really clear about something. And it's a very good point, and I agree. People need to say no more because there's an expression that yes got you to where you are, but no will get you to where you're going. And I want to be clear. No, saying no doesn't mean that you're missing out on things. Right. So just to give a very, very brief overview of what's going on in my life right now. Right. So I have the 5 kids. I'm on the board of our local Jewish center. I am the vice chair of the town committee on affordable housing, racial, economic, social equity, and social services. I'm a volunteer EMT, vice president of our local rescue squad here. I've been an EMT for about 14 years. That's one of my biggest passions. And right now I'm running for school board. So I'm on the way to becoming a politician. So no doesn't mean less necessarily. It just means less bullshit for the most part.
Yeah. Marty.
So you're accomplishing a lot, and seems like you're a super effective problem solver. What advice do you have to anyone else with Crohn's disease? I've trained clients. I'm a personal trainer. I've had clients with Crohn's, and they kind of use that as a crutch to hold them back. And I kind of gotta hype them up and be super positive. So what advice do you have to anyone who wants to accomplish goals or be super effective with Crohn's? Because you're definitely beating all the excuses that people have used for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So well, are you familiar with Sean T's Insanity program?
Yeah.
Remember that? That was my first step to overcoming Crohn's, and almost killed me. That was the hardest. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh my God!
It took me like a good 2 months to get through an entire workout. The biggest thing is we got to start somewhere. That's one, and the other thing is that not just with Crohn's, but with a lot of autoimmune, like literally in this battle with your own body. Having the control and the power over some of the data is a really big thing. I was getting blood tests like every 5 weeks and just putting them in a drawer because we were getting paper back then. But once I started doing some analysis and started looking at correlations, started tracking what I was eating, how I was feeling, especially now, 14 years ago when I was dealing with this, there were no, you couldn't wear a glucose monitor. That wasn't a thing. Like now there's so many tools that we have that give us so much data rather than what a lot of people with Crohn's do. And it's not lazy. It's just, they just don't know, but that you're in fear of every meal you have basically. Right. Or you're in fear that if I squat too hard, am I going to crush my intestines? There's no correlation there other than just 4 hours later, I don't feel well.
Ari, how do you, with the 5 kids, you got a busy life, you got to have things, structured. How do you decide what to focus on each day? Are you like John, where you go to bed the night before knowing what's coming tomorrow? Like, are you that structured where everything is, you got a rhythm to life, you and your wife and the kids? Is there literally a rhythm where you can say, hey, Keith, and I know you got a hard stop today at 9 o'clock and I can appreciate that. And we'll make sure that happens for you. But is your life very regimented, very structured, where the night before you go to bed, you know what's happening the day it's coming ahead of you? Ari?
Yes, 100%. So if it's not in Trello or my calendar, it is not a thing that is existing in my life. Basically. And so I'm a really big fan of Trello, but the tool doesn't so much matter. It's really about how you use it. But yeah, so I have different, if people are familiar with Trello or not, it's a project management tool. And you can have different boards for different things. So I have 6 different boards that are for the different things that I'm, personal stuff, the rescue squad, things like that. And it's like I have like a dashboard essentially, and I can do this from my phone, and I do. And I will go through the night before and basically figure out each of those categories that need to get done the next day, and line them up for that, sort of tee them up. And then if there's meetings or calls or things, obviously they're going to be scheduled. Most of the communications that I'm doing are asynchronous, and a lot of that's done over Voxer. That's how all my work is happening stuff. So for example, this call that we're having, is the only synchronous meeting of the day, essentially.
Yes.
So I try to avoid synchronous meetings as much as possible. That's a big one, because the thing is that as much as I'm structured and regimented about this stuff, part of the reason for that is to allow for the unexpected and surprise. My daughter fell off her bike yesterday and broke her arm. Right. And
my God.
She's fine. She's okay. But I didn't have to depend on someone else to take her to the hospital, right? Like, I was able to go do that because it wasn't like, I have to cancel 3 meetings to get this done.
Yes.
Things come up, things happen. And so I need to allow for that spontaneity by having that structure. And most importantly, and I'm sure John will think this, from a sort of a mental sanity point of view, right? Like, I have a source of truth, which is my calendar and my Trello. So no matter what's happening, no matter what, I can always throw things in there, and I can organize them in there and know that, that is my rock. It's not me running through the day being like, oh my God, did I get back to that person? What do I have to do now? What's the next thing? That doesn't happen.
Yeah. John, lean into this. I know we got a little bit of delay here. You got a question for Ari, John?
I think it's great. I mean, it's just the idea of, knowing what you're going to be doing and having this, this plan of attack to your day. It frees that, for me, it frees that mental space, and it allows me to be better at everything I'm doing. I just love hearing Ari talk about how he's turned this into a really, really flexible lifestyle, but still being highly productive. I mean, there's a lot of things that I do that are very similar, but I'm really having a lot of fun listening to him talk.
Yeah. And boys, one thing that I learned from Ari when I met with him, and I'm glad Ari brought it up, because I was going to if he wasn't. I love that Ari brought into my head a number of months back the reminder of the power of asynchronous meetings. Human beings don't do enough of them. Ari, kudos to you, man. I still have lived on that meeting we had months ago where daily, Ari, I use my phone to create asynchronous moments with my team constantly. I'm always sending videos to my team, right? And talk about the power, Ari, of asynchronous communication. And why do you think human beings don't embrace it more than I believe we should, Ari Meisel?
So for anybody who's not familiar, right, asynchronous is really the opposite of what we're doing now. It's just not live. And every one of you, no matter what age or work you do, you are using asynchronous tools, because email is an asynchronous tool. Texting is, postal letters are an asynchronous communication tool, right? It's just where you're not having that sort of live call and response. I think that, for one thing, it's just, the culture, the idea, I have to be face-to-face. I got to shake hands with somebody, which thankfully, I think COVID dispelled a lot of that.
Yes.
And showed people that you don't have to, travel somewhere to then do the handshake and all that kind of stuff. But the real power in asynchronous communication is that if you use it correctly, and email, like I said, email is an asynchronous tool, but a lot of people don't do it right, because a lot of people just have their email up on their screen all day. So it's not asynchronous. It's just an open sort of doorway. It's like somebody just walking in and knocking on your door all,
right.
You have to use it at your time, right? And you have to receive the information when you want to receive it, and you have to respond when you want to respond.
Yes.
And you allow people to do that, and you allow a team to do that. Naturally, you're going to get people responding at their best. right?
Yes.
I use it with my coaching clients. I use it with everybody, but I use it with coaching clients. And with coaching clients, it's amazing because instead of the old model where a client, has a blow up fight with their partner on Thursday and they have to wait till Tuesday at noon for our 45-minute session for me to give them the 3-minute answer that they need, and they already don't care about it at that point because 75 other things happen. They can walk out of the meeting, go absolutely nuts into Voxer for 12 minutes. I can then listen to that 4 hours later at 3 times speed, think about my answer, and give them that 1-minute response that's going to get them through that hurdle. So it is the most effective form of coaching I've ever seen. It's a more effective form of communication in general. I use it with my clients. I use it for sales. If somebody wants to get to work with me and they're like, hey, can we schedule a call? It's like, no, we can't. You can get on Voxer, we can chat there. And then they understand sort of how the platform works. So in that case, I have 7 minutes of exchange audio message over the course of 12 hours and get the same high ticket sale that I used to have to do a 45-minute sales call for. I use it with my wife. I use it with friends. I'm using it with my fellow candidates of the school board. It means that the bandwidth to handle communication is widened exponentially.
Yeah, gentlemen, Marty, Johnny, I leaned into that when Ari brought that up a few months back, and because I know back when I was running ICUC, I was a big fan of asynchronous meetings, and I somewhat forgot about just the idea of it, the habits involved in it, and the productivity gains when you really embrace it. When you lean into that kind of lifestyle and that workflow, I think the whole team excels. I really do, Marty, because you now can focus on the results, less about the journey there, because we all know we're trying to, I'll use the metaphors, we're trying to win the Stanley Cup. Oh, you got your things to do, Ari. I got my things to do. You're an adult. I'm an adult. I'm not here to micromanage you. So you jump in, you communicate with me. I jump in back, communicate with you. We're all going in the right direction. The power of asynchronous meetings is huge, man. Marty, I would encourage you to consider it for your coaching clients as well, pal. Johnny, you too, man. It's just because, and what I do like about Ari too is he sets the tone from the first moment. Ari, when you meet that person right from day one, you're like, no, this is how it's going to work, right? Like you've set the benchmark with them right from day one, right? So you've basically set the rules with that human being right from day one.
And here's the big thing to keep in mind about that, right? So, I'll have people who say like, can we do a call? Can we do a meeting? And my feeling is that when we accommodate in a business setting, what we're really doing is breaking from process. Oh. And both people are going to have a poor outcome from that experience. So,
I like that.
That's powerful. I like that. I like that a lot. Hey, we're hanging out with Ari Meisel. We're going to give Ari a few minutes back in his day here today. We're going to wrap our chat up here. Ari's got a hard stop here today. I'm very, very fortunate that we are his one fully synchronous meeting today. And I'm, very, very, I'm happy that he was take some time out of his busy day to hang out with us here today. You can find Ari on LinkedIn, find him on Voxer. He is extremely effective coach around productivity and overwhelming. He has the less doing, more living system. John, Marty, any closing comments or questions for Ari before we let Ari get on with his day today? Johnny, over to you first, pal.
I was just going to say, thank you for sharing, some of what you're saying. I use the same technique with coaching my clients, and it actually allows them to get more from me serving them, because like you said, they get to respond when they're at their best, and it gives them the ability to really lean into what we're doing based upon their schedule. So I love it. And I think the way that you explained it like that makes a lot of sense for people that are listening. Think about it. It really does. It gives that party on the other side the ability to communicate at the time that's best for them, which is going to make the whole thing better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And John, just to lean back to you, Marty, before I come to you again, what I like with Ari is that right from the first moment you meet him, he establishes that boundary with you. Here's how we're going to communicate. Here's how it's going to work. We're not about stealing each other's time. I'm here to help you. Here's how it's going to work. I like that a lot. Marty.
No, I definitely like the boundaries.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how do boundaries play a part in your success? How does that play a part in you getting to the next level? Like, why is that so important?
So the first thing, which is actually, I learned this recently, sort of a way of framing boundaries, right? Now, I learned this from a parenting expert, I forgot what her name was, but boundaries are something that you are going to do in the face of somebody else doing something. It's not something that they have to do for you, right? So like in the kid context, it's not like, you need to listen to me or else. It's like, no, if you don't listen to me, then I'm going to do something. I'm going to remove myself from the situation, not give you what you want, right? It's an important sort of framing, right? So nobody else has controls over your boundaries, which I think is pretty neat. So like asynchronous communication is a really big boundary of mine. And again, I've had people who are like, oh, come on, let's just do one call. Like, and it's like, no, like I with the rarest of exceptions, the only exceptions I usually make are somebody who I believe like technologically just won't be able to do it. But like a really good example is sales, right? So this happened all the time. And I used to have salespeople working for me. And I would have somebody who's like a client, be like, hey, I was telling all about you. Would you do their sales call or their intake? And I'd have to say no. I'd be like, look, we have a great sales process that I know nothing about. So if your friend wants to get a great experience working with me, they have to go through the actual sales process with our actual salespeople. If I do it, I'm just going to mess it up, right? So like it's a lot of people are like, what? Shocked by that, but it's true. Like I'm trying to help you. This isn't just me being like,
yes,
a jerk.
Yes.
So it's important to understand that the boundaries in those situations really help both people. And then another one is in terms of like boundaries on my time. If something's going to take a half an hour, it's going to take a half an hour or less. It's not going to take more. It's not going to take 33 minutes, 34 minutes. And that may sound like a little bit over, obsessive about it, but it's so many people schedule like back-to-back, 30-minute or 45-minute meetings, knowing that they can go over 5 minutes. It's always frustrating when somebody starts a call and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, the last ran over. It's like, don't let it, because that ran over on you then. Like
Yeah, exactly. And in that point, Nation, we're gonna help Ari walk himself out the door here so we can keep him on schedule. I'm a huge fan of Ari Meisel, Nation. I think anybody who's followed me for months knows that I am. A lot of respect for the man, a lot of props for the guy. Less doing, more doing, less something.
Less doing, more living. You can go to lessdoing.com and see all my
Keith.
Go to lessdoing.com to hook up with Ari Meisel. And I can tell you, Nation, that he is a man who lives asynchronously. Other than our Live in the Lab shows, I've never had the privilege of having a back and forth with Ari. We do it asynchronously, and it is wonderful. Meisel, you have an awesome day, my friend. You come back anytime, okay? You go take care of your family. And final words to you, pal. Did you have some fun here today?
I did. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you guys.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
We're going to walk Ari Meisel to the lab. Good to see you, pal. Go get your day. We'll see you soon, okay? Take care, pal. All right, there goes Ari. Ari's leaving the lab here. Boys, I'm a huge fan of the guy. I know when I reached out to him to say, hey, would you be a guest on the show? Johnny, after getting to know you and your idea of habit stacking, and as I've gotten to know Marty and Marty's diligence of getting stuff done and just focusing on the results, I'm like, oh, man, I have a guy I want you guys to meet, because I like his I'll say the word, his no bullshit approach, right? It's like, no,
what he don't play any games.
No, right, Marty? He's like, no, not doing back-to-back meetings. No, you can't call me directly. If you want to work with me, here's how it's going to work. And I can tell you that if it's going to work that way, it's going to work properly. And John, I look at you. I suspect you subscribe to some of those same points of view, right? It's like, no, here's how it is. Hey, Johnny?
100%. And the thing about it is, in many cases, we come from this world where, being in meetings and all this kind of stuff, it's just kind of the way that we think, when realistically, like he's really, really breaking the top off of a different but yet more effective way to communicate. Like myself, yes. I was using the same methodology with the majority of my clients, but not even quite understanding, like exactly what how it unfolds. Realistically, it's so much when he said they get to respond when they're at their best. Bam, that totally, the light bulb went off. I was like, it just made because once I implemented this style of coaching where, okay, if a client needs to talk to me, I said 100%, if we can't nail this down in these voice memos, we'll get in a call. 90% of the time it gets solved, but it gets solved right there or 10 minutes later, an hour later versus the next day or two if we had to schedule a call.
Yeah, exactly. So I invite you to go find Ari, lessdoing.com. If you find yourself overwhelmed, you find yourself needing help with getting things done, I cannot strongly encourage you enough to go hang out with Ari Meisel. He'll get you going there. Inam, good to see you here this morning on the show, my friend.
Inam?
We are loving having you here this morning. Good to have you here. And good time, of course, is greeting Inam along the way. And of course, Inam is loving Sir Jon. Always loving the motivation coming out of his mouth. We're coming out here, guys. Thanks to everybody for spending time with us. Mornings in the Lab with Keith, CmartyFit, Jon Andersen. We just wrapped up a wonderful conversation with Ari Meisel, an overwhelmologist who will help you figure stuff out and make life less overwhelming. Yesterday, boys, we leaned into anxiety and excitement. Well, today, sometimes we know, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed today. How do I manage it? So Ari Meisel leaned into that here today. So, but hey, we are running a few minutes late, but that's okay. I want to take that big light that we like to shine and shine onto somebody over on LinkedIn. Yesterday, boys, Jeff Hatton was celebrated, and I surprised him at 5 o'clock Central Time, John, Marty, and he was. It was fun. He's going to be on the show next week. He's a funny dude. Created some good videos yesterday, and
that clip of you talking about him yesterday was pretty funny.
It was good, eh?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was pretty good, and he is. He's going to join the show. He's going to join the show next week. He's great, making great content. Boys, he's going to join we got a double hour next week. On Wednesday, we got Jenny going to join the first hour, and then Jeff's going to join the second. Big show next Wednesday, back to back. Going to have some funny stuff here. So we like to celebrate humans across the platforms. And today I wanted to shine the light on somebody who I have been engaging with last few days, both on Threads and over on LinkedIn. Jimmy, I'm going to get the light ready here on the vertical stream here, and I'm going to get my applause jacked up here, and I'm going to spread this out here. So this gentleman is... Oops, no, that's not one there. Here we go. Share screen. All right, so today's Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab with Keith, CmartyFit, and Jon Andersen is Mark Simachek. So, Mark, I hope I said your name right, man. I hope I said your name right. You guys are going to like Mark. So we talk about goals. We talk about achieving big goals. We talk about accountability. Guys, Mark helps humans achieve their big dreams. He helps people like us activate and manifest their dreams. John, you're going to like Mark as you get to know him when I show you his profile, man, here. He's on a mission to help 100,000 people dream again, more and bigger. And what I loved about his profile when I started reading about him, he is like, get this, man. I'm in the dream transformation and energy giving business. Business leaders and owners are inspired by the Dream Manager book. His superpowers are approachability, encouragement, and innovation. He specializes in using technology and one-to-many coaching models to make life coaching and dream coaching available at scale within business and accessible to those who need it most. He's on a mission to help 100,000 people dream again, more or bigger. You can find him at onwarddream.com/21 stories. But here's this story that caught me, guys. After 14 plus years in an organization, John, he was a wreck. Marty, he's like, I lost my energy. I lost my drive. I lost my hope. Outward, and guys, we know humans like this, Marty. I got friends like this. You do probably, Johnny, you do. Outward, he looked successful. He was making good money. He dressed well. He was fit, smiling, super family. But inside, he was a mess. He was living a life of quiet desperation. He says to himself, I didn't know where my dreams were. And he was terrified to even look for them. When I read that, I was struck because I'm like, oh my God. Could you imagine, boys, living a life with wondering where your dreams went? Maybe stuck in the corporate ladder, right? So he was scared of what others would think, including those closest to me. On September 16th, one day in September 2016, he hit the eject button. He quit his dream career without a plan. And with his wife and kids to support, they leaned into Mark and said, let's go do it. And he went and started his own journey. And he's now helping others achieve their big dreams, achieve their goals. He's launched a recent project called Project 14.4. And I got to crack a joke here, Marty, because I saw a little comment yesterday that I think there's a book coming. So Mark might be a best-selling book author here in the future. We don't know if he's a TEDx speaker, but the point is, and the laughter I want to the point is I want to make is that Mark Kumacek or Sumacek, I'm not sure, Mark, how I pronounce your last name, doing the best I can. You are our creator spotlight here on Mornings in the Lab, St. Norbert College graduate from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And if you can find Mark over on LinkedIn as well as onwarddream.com/21 days. But Marty, John, wrapping up with him, one day in September 2016, Mark said, to hell with it. I'm hitting the eject button. Guys, talk about courage to do that. Like, that's courage, man.
Yeah, more people need to have that. More people need to have the basically say, you know what, this is not my life, and I'm going to put myself in I'm going to back myself into a corner, which is going to make me get uncomfortable, which is going to make me find a better way to do this. Yes. And it takes a lot of guts. My hat's off to them for doing it. Yeah. Marty?
Yeah, that's real. I was just listening to Cody Sanchez. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Yeah, I was just listening to her before the show, and she said, I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something like, purpose equals pockets. Like, so if you hate your life, you know, you don't like the money you're making, you don't like the business you're in or the job you have, and you want to change, like, chase your purpose. You know, make whatever sacrifice you got to make, and it's going to grow them pockets. So that's pretty much what she was saying.
That's awesome.
This is right on point.
I like that. And Nation, let me be very clear here. What Keith and Marty and John are saying is that you don't go to all of a sudden got to quit your job and become an entrepreneur. No. What we're saying is go find your purpose. Go find your passion. And if there's if you're sitting in an awesome job right now, a big corporate job you're really happy about and excited about, then go after it. Keep going after it. But if you're also in that big corporate job and you're unsettled about it, dude, you don't got to run to be an entrepreneur. Maybe there's somewhere within that organization you can go find joy and happiness. As Marty said, go find that purpose inside the organization. But the point of the message is, don't sit there and wallow and don't think you have the ability to do it. You do. Ari Meisel, our guest on the show today, had Crohn's disease. And Marty and John themselves have had clients who have had excuses and excuses and excuses because they couldn't do something. Olympic gold medalist Noah Lyles had asthma. Gold medalist. There's no excuses, Nation. So if you're sitting here listening to us right now and you're feeling stuck, you got me to lean on, you got Marty to lean on, you got Jon Andersen to lean on, and you got Ari Meisel to lean on to help you achieve those big ass goals you want to achieve. And hey, you want to achieve a big dream, go knock on Mark Tumacek's door, who is our creator spotlight. So good comments.
You know what John said, right?
What's that?
An hour a day can change your life.
That's exactly it.
Give an hour a day to whatever it is that you want to get better on your purpose, and it's going to change your life.
That's exactly it. So there you go. From Marty through the words of John, because John's on a little poor internet connection. An hour a day will change your life through the words of Marty Fit channeling Jon Andersen here in the lab.
Hey, John, I'm paying attention, man. I'm paying attention to you.
That's it. Well, another thing that's we got to touch on here with the creator spotlight was, where are the dreams? I think it's people are they're not in touch with their imaginations anymore. You have to use your imagination to dream, and it's like if you're not in touch with using your imagination, it's almost like your imagination is kind of like the front door to your dream. If you're not in touch with your imagination, your dream, you're never really going to have that dream the way it should be.
Anybody tuning in right now, getting to know Jon Andersen, every few days, Andersen drops something that just gives me goosebumps. And he just did it, Marty.
Yeah. This
whole idea of chasing imagination, like that's magical, Andersen. It is, because you are bang on, pal. You're this big brute bodybuilder, strongman power guy, but deep down you're like, no, man, let's go to Disneyland. Let's go chase our imagination. Let's go and be kids and chase what we stopped chasing before. There's such power in that business athlete nation, taking that imagination in our brain and going after it. And I agree with John, Marty. I think much of the world has lost that imagination. And if we can spend some more time leaning into that, that's going to make.
I am still that kid using my imagination, creating and chasing dreams. It should never stop. whether you're 15 or you're 52, get that thing going.
Marty, 100%, as Johnny would say.
Absolutely, 100%.
100%, as he would say. All right, guys, so we're 10 minutes into the show here, or 10 minutes into the second hour of our show. We have some more of Arnold's life lessons I want to dig into today, because I promised you guys when we started our journey last week, he had 77 of them. So if Arnold lives to 120, Nation, in about 2 years, in a few years from now, we're going to have a longer list of topics to get into today. But I thought we would work towards wrapping up today's show by digging more into Arnold's life lessons. And I want to continue with guys, and Ari talked about this actually. So weaving back to Ari's conversation, the first step in sales, John and Marty, isn't talking, it's listening. You need to know your customer. And there's people listening right now to our show, dialing into our show, that they walk into a meeting and they just start talking. I have an idea. Ask their customer their needs. Oh, Mark would say, what are their dreams? Ask your customer what their dreams are, and then listen to the response. Listen. That's how you find the message that will connect you with your audience. Boys, lean into listening over talking, especially when you're selling. Marty, you first.
Yeah, I'd say, as far as personal training, I have to follow the client's goals. I have to get them to their goal. Yeah. I can't just come in there and tell them to work out and do what I think is best for them. So I definitely use that. I listen to their problems, listen to their pain points. Pain points are big when you're selling. If you want to fix the problem, that should be the goal. So you definitely have to listen. No need to be talking when you're trying to get that. Shut up. Shut up and listen.
Yes, exactly. Let's see here. Marty, you got to rock and roll here soon, Paul? So you got to leave here shortly, buddy.
Yeah, I want to hear what John has to say though.
Awesome, Johnny. What's your comment on listening over talking, pal?
Well, the bottom line is that people need to feel understood, and
yes,
if you're listening to them, you're hearing them, you're understanding them. Especially when it comes to sales. People don't want to be sold something. They want to feel understood, and they want to they want to choose to buy something because they feel that person understands how to help them.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly. And that segues to our next point as we say goodbye to Marty. Marty's got some things hanging out here today, so he's gonna rock and roll out of the lab here today. Marty, we'll see you later, pal. You have an awesome day, and then we'll welcome Christina back into the lab here. She can continue our chats with us. We're talking about listening over talking over listening, and then John lead into you got to listen to the human. Well, Arnold says, Marty, speak to their heart first, not their mind. If you can develop, and here's what I believe in so strongly, and I think that's, actually, I'll just be transparent. I think when I met you two boys, that's just that's the connection I always try to find with a human being. Is I really try to establish an emotional connection. I really do. That to me is, I don't know if it's a superpower I try to work towards, but my goal when I meet my humans for the first time is I really try to establish a connection with you, like an emotional connection, because that to me is the foundation. And I think, Marty, as you've gotten to know me, when I communicate with you, that's just that to me. Once I connect with your heart, I think we can accomplish anything together, frankly.
I agree. And it is your superpower.
Right? It's just, it's taken that whole idea of leaning into your heart, Jon Andersen, your heart, CmartyFit, and then understanding what you're all about, and then getting into what's going on up in the brain, man. I think that is what it's all about. I really do. So
absolutely.
Marty, you rock and roll, pal. I don't want you late for your meetings.
Well, Keith, when you talk about,
go ahead, Johnny.
Sorry about that. So when you talk about what you're saying, the heart, it plays right into, what I was saying about the fact that you're chasing a feeling. And when you're dealing with the heart, that's a really, really big emotion, a feeling that's very easy to want to chase. And when you connect success with chasing that feeling, that emotion, it's like a turbocharger.
Yes. I want to stay into this with Christina back here in the lab here, producer Christina. Christina, we've been getting to know each other over the last few days, and I'm a huge fan of that emotional connection. And I think as you're getting to know me, is it all talk or is it real? I want to get some sense from you about this idea of the emotional connection before the mental connection when you're communicating with somebody for the first time, especially when it comes to sales or trying to build a relationship with somebody. Tina.
I mean, I think it's really, if I get real geeky on it,
yeah,
the emotion is through the brain, right? Like why I focus on story, why I get really excited about story is because there is a neurological reaction that can happen between two individuals, which result in a feeling of emotion. But when we create connection through story, there is a response in our brain that results in that emotional connection. So when somebody is talking about facts and figures on a stage, there's two areas in your brain that are lit up. One is really just the processing, and the other is just the understanding. When somebody hears story from that individual, there are 6 areas of your brain that light up. Mm-hmm. And that brings in the emotion, the understanding, the comprehension, the memories, the thinking about the things. How does this person's story relate to me? And so it is through the brain, but it has that emotional connection. And that's why it's so powerful.
I think when a human can lean into that superpower of emotional connection, especially as a leader, Tina, Johnny, I think you immediately put yourself above everybody else. And not in a hierarchical way, which is I'm better than you. I mean, just in a way of I want to stand here raw and open with you, and I want to connect with you. Because I believe when we can connect as human beings, we can solve and we can achieve anything. I really do believe that. I really do. Arnold leans into this one too, John. You'll like this one. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we talk. So many people just want to feel like someone cares about what we are saying, when in reality, and I learned this, guys, when I started my show Live in the Lab, I learned 2 things from the first few weeks. My producer at the time was like, Keith, you got to stop talking so much because we can't create clips with you over talking with the guest. I'm like, oh, right. He's like, I need you to ask the question and pause. When I focused on that and I focused on asking the question and pausing, I recognized that not only was I creating better content, but I was becoming a better listener. And then what was also happening, John and Christina, was that I was giving you as my guest more space to communicate. And then naturally emotions started connecting and the content started getting even better. So anybody listening right now, if you're struggling with this idea of talking more than listening, start a podcast or start a show and then go and listen to yourself after you ask a question and wonder if you're listening instead of over talking. Christina, comment on that.
So many folks ask a question and then wait for the response. They're like doing that jump rope thing where they're like trying to get back into it, or hearing a half sentence and then that incites something in their brain and they want to get it back out, right? And as somebody with ADHD, this is my desire because I worry about forgetting things. It goes away. And so I've had to learn to say, take a step back. They could go in a different direction. So go in that direction with them. You don't have to go back to your point. It wasn't that important. Let the conversation flow. You're going to have other things to say. Let them fucking talk.
Yeah. Yes. John, I see you nodding there, pal.
Well, the thing that I remind myself is that if I'm listening, I'm learning. If I'm talking, I'm not learning.
Yes. But John, you know what, pal? I think that I know we're a couple years older than Christina, and I'm not trying to get all ages. I'm not trying to get all ageism on everybody here. But Johnny, I think that really comes with you and I with age and maturity. I really do. And I think that that's something as we get older in life, we're like, oh no, I want to be more curious. I want to listen to what Christina has to say. I want to hear her point of view. Now, on the same side, John, I'm sure we both know a lot of guys our age who are like, oh no, I know everything. I'm going to talk. When in reality, if that light goes on to be more curious, isn't it magical, Jon Andersen, when we kind of get to our age and we can become more curious? Isn't that fun?
Well, the older we get, basically when I say the older we get, the stupider we get, which really means is the older we get, we realize that we don't know as much as we thought we did, which tells us we need to listen more. You know?
Yes.
I mean, remember when you're 18 years old, that's when a male is the smartest he'll ever be at 18. He knows everything at that point, you know. But then as we get older, we get dumber, which really just means that we're smarter because we realize that we didn't have a fucking clue. Excuse my language at 18.
Yes, Carter. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, pal. Jon Andersen just said it. So, but I love listening to my kids talk. I love asking questions of the different generations to learn. It is something that I thoroughly enjoy every day. But I think, Christina, what humans struggle with when it comes to listening and talking, it's really simple. Humans struggle with awkward silence. Right? Which is, I'll ask you a question, then I'm okay. Why isn't she answering?
Man.
Why isn't she answering it? Why isn't she answering it? And then if I'm thinking if she's not answering, I got to do something about it, right? But yet, if you can lean into awkward silence, that is a superpower as well, Christina.
One of the steps I take my clients through very, very initially in our work together is an interview. We do about 60 minutes, and I sit there and I ask them life questions from the various stages in your life. And I sit there and I let there be silence. Because a lot of times I'm asking people questions that they haven't really had time to reflect on in the past, or they haven't ever really been asked before. So they're thinking about it. Let them think. I don't want to lead them in a direction that's going to serve my purposes. I want them to have the freedom to explore what comes up for them when I ask a question. So give space. And if they don't say anything, then chime in. But give space.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Give space. A lot of power in giving space.
And if a person is having trouble with uncomfortable silence, it's because they haven't spent enough time learning to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Well said. And that it tells you that they got something going on constantly where it's like in many ways you want to teach them to slow down first, isn't it? It's like, hold on, slow down. Let's be comfortable with silence before we can start talking about your first goal. Really, isn't it?
And it's a skill to be able to sit down in silence. It's a skill to be able to be by yourself. It's a skill to say, I'm going to be, and I'm going to leave my devices over there, and I'm not going to do anything. Something I'm trying to teach my kids is be bored. Like they want to, and they have a desire when we're driving somewhere far away. Can I have your phone? Can I look at your phone? I'm bored. No, it's okay. Be bored. See where your brain takes you. See what you start thinking about.
I love you said that, Christina. I my wife Lauren loves so much. She's always encouraging Brooklyn. So Johnny, when we're in the car, it's like, no, you don't need your iPad. Go look out the window. There's lots to see. Go look around. Like, let your brain explore what's outside and use what's outside to stimulate yourself. Right. And you're right. You're and it goes back to John's
imagination.
Comment. I was just going to say, Anderson, going back to your comment about imagination, right? Like lean into, when you go look at the clouds, what do you see up in the sky? Right. So I like that, Christina, you're teaching your kids about embracing boredom, embracing the imagination. Right. And I think there's perhaps not enough of that being suggested to our kids.
And I teach that lesson because it's something I struggle with. So we all want to teach our kids the lessons that we struggle with ourselves. So I don't have it all figured out, but it's something I'm working on too.
But you know what, Christina, it's okay. If I can shine a light on you for a second, we talk about it all the time, right? Kids don't do what we say, kids do what we see. So I'm going to offer you just kind of that awareness of, Christina, allow yourself to be bored. So your kids can see you being bored.
Totally.
Right? Allow yourself to see the kids with the phone down, looking out the window, staring at the clouds. Mom, what are you doing? I'm listening to Keith right now and I'm staring at the fucking clouds and I'm trying to be bored so I can show you how boredom works, kids.
Just trying to be bored here.
I'm learning how to twiddle my thumbs again there, kids. Yeah. And then Johnny underneath your breath, fucking Bilous, man, telling me to be bored so I can show my kids how to do this. Damn it, I just want my phone right now.
So hard. It's so hard, but it's so necessary. We need to be bored.
Yeah. Arnold also talks about, guys, in Arnold's Life Steps, learn to change gears. No matter what you're going to do, you will hit barriers and obstacles. Again, you heard me talk about this last week. Don't use words like if. Use words like when. because when's always going to happen. You know, oh, if the internet goes out, I'm going to have, no, it's going to go out. What's the plan? Right? If I can't do my squat, no, you're not going to do your squat. What's the plan? Right? So thinking the life of when, because that's going to help you change gears no matter what you do instead of a world of if. Jon Andersen.
Yeah, I mean, when you started talking about it, it kind of reminded me of a phrase that I use internally. It's like if you picked a path without obstacles, you picked the wrong path. And you know, I don't know how that when you started talking about that, it just fed right, boom. It was like that just popped straight into my head. We need to embrace the difficult paths. We need to embrace the paths that give us the challenges, because we overcome them and we get better. If you want more, you got to become more.
The soundbite machine's at it again.
I want a calendar on my desk of Jon Andersen quotes, daily Jon A quotes of just these bangers.
It's awesome.
That's a revenue stream for you, Jon, if you haven't explored it yet. That or like a calendar. You got the bod, like maybe show up with a calendar. Yeah, I want to see this.
No, Christina, I'm thinking here in the lab, it's going to be part of our store here. We're going to have like a talking Jon Andersen doll on the desk. And then every single morning when you sit down, he's going to spit out a quote at you and give a flex or something.
I would love that. I remember listening David Goggins' books. One of the tactics that he had was he would basically record to himself all the shitty things people would say to him. And then he would listen back to it as motivation. It's obviously on the positive side versus the negative side. But if I could have like, the AI Jon in my ear of like, anytime I'm kind of like going down a little bit, I'm feeling I'm having a tough moment, I just click that, like the easy button, just like click the Jon button and be like, if your chill's in a path with no obstacles,
I love that. Click the Jon button.
I need some Jon.
That's a good one. I like that. Click the Jon button. That's funny. That's funny shit.
You know, we need a Jon board. So we'll have a board just with Jon's quotes and sayings, and we can sell it to everybody. It's just Jon board. You press the button and a quote comes out, right?
Or like a Jon.
Yeah, it's exactly it.
Like a dartboard. If I like need a quote for any of my content, I just throw it at the Jon board and see which one lands on.
Arnold talks about talking to yourself. Seriously. Self-talk, he says, gets him through hard times. It makes my best self. It keeps me from losing my... I can't tell you how many times I started to get very frustrated, and he says to himself, Arnold, relax. Arnold, stop being a brat. Arnold, trust yourself. Jon, this hit a nerve for you. Talk about self-talk with yourself, Jon Andersen.
Oh, man. I mean, you're constantly talking. You're constantly talking to yourself, but there's two sides of the equation. There's the side that's kind of prompting you, okay, you need to lean into this. You need to address this challenge. And then there's the other side that tries to talk you out of it, that negative self-talk. And I'm a big one on removing the bad shit first. So if you can remove that negative self-talk, then the guy that's talking on the positive side, his words are much stronger. You know, so one of my every day, I write down what I don't want to do today that I did yesterday. And almost always, I would say 4 out of 7 days a week, it's removing the negative self-talk. And if I can have in the day, if I can catch myself once and stop it, that's a win.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to wrap up today's show with a comment that really leans back into this, because self-talk's a killer, man. It's absolutely a killer. Christina, I saw you nodding. Are you a self-talker? Do you find yourself talking yourself out of stuff? Like, do you find yourself battling the two voices on your shoulders?
Oh, 100%. Inner voice is something that my inner voice is awful. She's mean. She's a real bitch. I don't know if you've ever seen the Mean Girls movie, but I've actually recently named my inner voice Regina George. She's a bitch. And I'm trying to work with her, and I'm trying to figure out, when is she showing up? What are her motivations? Why is she there? And really it comes back to what we were talking about yesterday, that like monkey mind or that chimp. They're out to seek survival. They're out to seek safety. And when you don't have those feelings of safety, that voice is going to come up much more frequently. And so, like Jon said, learning how to recognize it when it's there and say, yo, chill. Chill with you.
Yes.
We don't need you right now. You're safe. You're not helpful. Get out of the way.
Yes. I like that. I like that you've created enough awareness in yourself to know that I don't like this person. I'm actually going to put a name on this person, and I'm going to address this entity inside of myself, separate myself from it, and talk to it so I can walk away from it. There's power.
I'm 40. I'm 40, and I just learned this year. Right? It's taken me a real long time to get there, but there's a lot of power in getting there. So it doesn't mean that. It just means that spend a little bit of work trying to get to know yourself, and that inner voice is not reflective of you as the individual. It's reflective of emotions looking for safety.
Yes. Deuce comes in with a comment here. I think it's appropriate here. I'm not going to praise obstacles. I believe being like water and float into a natural direction instead of swimming upstream and dying. It's fair, right? Floating and going in a natural direction. I appreciate that. So it's some more comments from Arnold. We wrap up today's show here. I like this one, guys, because this is what I very much have leaned in my career. This is very much what I've leaned into with this show, because I believe, and Arnold does as well, people love to laugh. Develop a sense of humor. Humans like being around other funny people. You either might think you're funny or not. More than likely, you probably are. But if you're not, put the reps in. Right. And just being funny through observations, but creating that emotional connection, being authentic and being vulnerable. People love to laugh, being self-deprecating, making fun of yourself. You are going to break down walls and break down barriers if you take on Arnold's whole idea of developing a sense of humor, people loving to laugh. And Andersen, Christina, we live in a world where there's just so much, it seems there's just so much negativity in all these chasms where, we got to give places for people to laugh. Christina, you first. The power of laughter, the power of creating a sense of humor, the power of self-humility and self-deprecation through the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Christina.
The humility. I love humor. It's one of my favorite things. My dad is a hilarious man, and we all have his dry Irish sense of humor. So it's something I use all the time. And I'll challenge you on the idea of self-deprecation. I think there's a difference between having humility in yourself and being able to not take yourself so seriously and self-deprecation. And that's something I'm learning as of recently. Self-deprecation is a reflection of insecurities, and those insecurities can be mirrored by that inner voice. So we don't want to consistently be shitting on ourselves and really just repeating that inner voice and that inner monologue. We want to try to silence that while at the same time saying it doesn't have to be so serious, but I don't have to shit on myself in order to do that, because then I'm just reiterating what that voice in my head is saying, which is actually what I'm trying to quiet down.
Interesting you say that, because I had a guest on the show a few months back who's an entertainer, performer, and John, he's not a fan of self-deprecation, because somebody listening, if they don't have context around your self-deprecation, they might just quickly think, to your point, Christina, that this person's insecure. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? Because they're saying to them, because if you're saying, well, Keith, I hired you to entertain me. I didn't hire you to beat up on yourself and shit on yourself and be all self-deprecating. Your job's to entertain me. Right. So his point of view is be careful with self-deprecation, because it could go too far. Jon Andersen.
I think the front door to this whole thing is, if you respectfully, of course, but you must unapologetically be your authentic self. And that's going to create, just that in itself is going to have some level of comedic value once you start getting into the nooks and cranny of who you are, who you truly are, because we're all so different.
Yes. And that's a great way to wrap it up, you guys. It's the bottom of the hour here, and we're going to work towards wrapping up today's show. Life lessons from Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I love this one a lot. I find myself some days as an entrepreneur trying to chase a massive vision that frankly nobody understands, which is awesome. But here's how Arnold leaves it. Don't beat yourself up. You need a lot of energy, Business Athlete Nation, to chase a vision. And as John has always said, if you understand my vision, then my vision isn't big enough for you. Don't waste any of your energy on being negative or shitting on yourself, as Christina would say, because that negative energy can be put towards that vision you're chasing. When I read this yesterday, it was a good, and I'll be vulnerable, it was a good reminder for me, because there's some days as you're going down this journey, you're going, holy fuck, man, this is hard. And then you get into that negative self-talk. And then I'm like, oh my God, Arnold, you're bang on, man. The energy I'm putting into this right now is not right. I got to put the energy back into positivity, because that's where we're headed, right? So as you're listening to our show and you've hung out with us today for 90 minutes, don't beat yourself up. You know, be humble, have some humor, have some fun, because that energy you're putting into negativity, imagine if you put it towards positivity, the doors you're going to open and you know, the success you're going to achieve. Christina, commenting on the idea of don't beat yourself up, energy to chase a vision.
I think that's what it is. And so much of this goes back to, like, there's physiology behind this. There's biology behind this. There's neuroscience. This isn't just opinion. There are real impacts that you can have on your life by making these simple steps of where are you investing your energy. And we only have so much. It's not forever flowing. So if you only have so much, where are you spending that time? Don't spend it on the negative. Try to focus on the opportunities. Not to say toxic positivity. None of us want that, but focus on the opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. Focus on the opportunities. Jon Andersen, final word to you today, pal, before we wrap it up. What do you guys say, buddy?
Well, I would say, you know me, I love to simplify things. So I would say my position on this would be, we become what we think about.
Yes. Oh.
So if you're thinking negativity, you're starting to morph into something negative. If you're thinking positive, you're going to become what you're thinking about on that positive side. So we become what we think about. What are you thinking about? That's the question you got to ask yourself.
You
Negative
become
or positive. You got to keep that thing rolling with positivity.
Yeah, keep that positivity happening, nation. As Adam, I appreciate you, man. You've been on the show for the whole time here, and you're an awesome viewer. Hey, Adam, I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with Jon on Instagram or any of the platforms. We're really looking to form these connections with our loyal audience, especially as we're building this thing out. You clearly are a business athlete, Adam. You clearly are part of our community here, and I just want to look at you and tell you how much I appreciate that. I really do. The fact that you take time out of your day to hang out with us is a blessing to me. And I want to, offer you that negativity, no, a mirror, yes. And it just says, what's Jon saying, right? If you're going to stand in the mirror and beat yourself up, well, that mirror is going to reflect yourself beating yourself up. If you can get in front of that mirror and have some positive self-talk, it's going to give that positive energy back to you. So that wraps up our comments with Jon Andersen, Christopher Martin, CmartyFit's out of here today. Christina Flynn, producer Jimmy, myself, Keith Bilous here. Mornings in the Lab. We drop 8:00 Eastern time every single day. We're wrapping it up today, guys. What a great show. We talked Overwhelmologist with Ari Meisel, productivity tips, asynchronous messaging, setting the barrier with your audience. I think we offered a number of little nuggets on the show today before we get out of here. Tomorrow, we got Ivan Pollock and Mariana Pollock. We got a couple of guests for the whole show tomorrow. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. We're going to get into some business, fitness discussion along the way, and learn about Jon's second day up in Utah, up in the woods there. But I had a great show today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Jon, I'm going to come to you second. But Christina, we did it today. We did it today, kid. Your kid's at home sick. You made it. You're running out of the room. It worked out. We had some good conversation. Your thoughts on day 2 today, Christina Flynn?
Being fluid. Someone was saying it in the audience, right? Like, yes, obstacles, but being fluid. Upstairs, downstairs. She's sleeping right now. We got her down. So, let's be here. And that's what it's about. It's not going to be perfect, and that's cool.
I love that, and that's exactly the message we're trying to put here on the show. Jon Andersen, my friend, I loving you, buddy. What do you got? So what are you doing today for the physical activity? Now you guys all sorted out. I know Terry's still sleeping. We know that. So the show's going to end. Where are you going next besides for a piss? And then what's going to happen next?
Well, first off, I'm not in Utah. I'm in Tahoe.
That's what I said.
I'm in Lake Tahoe. So let's get that straight. I'm not in Utah.
Oh,
I said Utah.
Oh, yeah, I meant Tahoe. Sorry, I meant Tahoe. That's what I meant.
All right. It's all right. That's all right. It's okay. It's okay. So what am I going to do? We get off here. Of course, I'm headed straight for the toilet. Then I'm actually going to I'm going to do a bicep, tricep, superset workout with some bands that I have really right here where you're looking at the room where I'm going to execute this workout.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're gonna check that workout out if you publish it anywhere on the platforms today. But Jon Andersen, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you a lot. I'm thoroughly enjoying our conversations and the show we're creating here. Christina, I appreciate you as well. And Adam, it's actually that's awesome, Adam. I love that a lot, man. You are part of the humor here. I think Christina's yes, Keith and Regina, Christina and her battling nemesis Regina. So we are gonna have to. That's gonna be a running joke now on the show. That Adam,
I love it. It's great.
When Christina's bringing bad Christina to the show, we know it's actually Regina on her shoulder. So that'll be the excuse she's going to offer up. All right, guys, let's get out of here. I'm going to go for a walk. I got my lift all done. I got my Tabata done. So I'm going to go for a little bit of walk, and then we got post-production. Christina will come knock on your door in a little bit. And Melissa, thank you for the help this morning. Producer Jimmy, thank you for the help this morning. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Mornings in the Lab. Myself, CmartyFit, Jon Andersen, not in Utah, in Tahoe. And of course, producer Christina Flynn. We'll be back tomorrow. Mornings in the Lab. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys.